Today's lesson is how to make negative, how to change sentences into negative. And as I told you before, when you want to change your sentence into negative, you should first look at the verb. If you see S with the verb, so you will use doesn't plus V1. If you see ed or any past form with the verb, so you will use didn't plus V1. And if you don't see S and don't see ed or any past form, you will use don't. But be careful, my dear students, if you use doesn't or don't or didn't, you will use V1. What is V1? V1 is the verb without anything, without S, without ing, and without ed. It is the infinitive form. So here, after doesn't, V1. After don't, V1. And after didn't, V1. So be careful. If you use doesn't or don't or didn't, you will use V1. Let's see the examples here. He plays tennis. Change this sentence into negative. How can I change this sentence into negative? I will look at the verb with S, so I will use don't or doesn't or didn't. I will use doesn't. So I will write he doesn't play or plays play. Only play. He doesn't play tennis. And so it will be the answer here. He doesn't play tennis. Why? Because when I see plays, so it is with S. And when I see the verb with S, I will use doesn't. Doesn't plus V1. Can I say he doesn't plays? No, he doesn't play. So I should remove S. And I just write the verb V1. Only V1. Very good. Number 2, they play tennis. Where is the verb? Play. So, do you see S? No. Do you see ed? No. Do you see any past form? No. This is play. So, I don't see S, I don't see ed. So, when I want to change this sentence into negative, I will use doesn't or don't or didn't. Very good. Don't. So, they don't. Very good. So, here I will write they don't play tennis. Very good. Okay, so here the answer will be they don't play tennis. Why? Because here play without S and without ed and without anything. So if the verb is without anything, so I will use don't when I want to change it into negative. Number 3, she played tennis yesterday, for example. So she played. I see, where is the verb first? This is the verb, played, played. So the verb with ed, the verb with ed. So when I want to change this sentence into negative, I should look at the verb. When I see ed, I will choose doesn't or don't or didn't. Of course, I will choose didn't. Why? Because I have here ed in the verb. So when I see ed, I will choose didn't. Very good. And didn't is followed by what? By V1. What is V1? V1 is the verb without anything. So here I will write they didn't play tennis. So here they didn't play tennis. Why I choose here didn't? Because I see the verb with ed, so it means that the sentence is in the past, and when the sentence is in the past, so I will change it into negative by using didn't plus V1. So here again, number 1, I use doesn't because I have the verb with S. And here number 2, I use don't because I see the verb without anything. And in number 3, I use didn't because I see ed. And when I see ed, I change the sentence into negative by using didn't plus V1. So here, if you see doesn't play, I cannot say doesn't plays. Don't play, so it means that don't is followed by infinitive or V1, and doesn't is followed by V1. And again, didn't is followed by V1. What do we mean by V1? V1 is the verb without anything, without ed and without s. Very good. Number 4, they went to the park yesterday. They went. So this is what? Where is the verb? Here is the verb, went. So what is the tense of this sentence? Is it in the past or in the present? I see yesterday and I see went. So went is the past form of what? Of go. You know that go changes into went when it is in the past. So here went is the past form of go. Went is the past form of go. So when I see past form, what should I choose when I want to change it into negative? Doesn't, don't, or didn't? When I see past form, I use didn't. So I will write they didn't. They didn't what? They didn't play. They didn't go. They didn't go to the park yesterday. They didn't go to the park yesterday. Again, they didn't go to the park yesterday. So here, when I see went, it means that this is in the past form. And when I see past form, I change my sentence into negative by using didn't plus V1. What is V1 of went? Go. So V1 of went, go. So I will use they didn't go to the park yesterday. So here went changes into go. Again, went changes into go. This is what we have known in the previous lessons. So here again, when you want to change the sentences into negative, and you should first look at the verb. If you see the verb with s, you will use doesn't plus V1. If you see here ed or past form, you will use didn't. And if you don't see s or don't see ed, you will use don't. So here again, if you see the verb with s, you will see doesn't is followed by V1. And if you see ed or past form with the verb, you will use didn't. And if you don't see s and don't see ed, so there is no s and there is no ed and there is no past form, you will use don't and followed again by V1. Today's lesson, there is something new. It is a new word of negative in today's lesson. It's to make negative with not only. Just we will use only not. What will this happen? It will happen when you see am or is or are or was or were or shall or should, can, could, may, might, will, would, and must. If you see any of these auxiliary verbs or of these helping verbs, you will use not only in the negative. You will not use doesn't or don't or didn't. Why? Because I have already some auxiliary verbs or helping verbs: am, is, are, was, were, shall, should, can, could, may, might, will, would, and must. So if you see any of these words, you will choose only not. Let's see together. change the sentences into negative. Change the sentences into negative. Number 1, they are playing tennis. They are playing tennis. What do you see here? I see are and playing. So I see two verbs, are and playing. One of them is from all these words or all these helping verbs, am or is or are. When you see are, you will just make negative putting with putting not only. So here I will put here what? Not. So it will be they are not playing tennis. Again, they are not playing tennis. They are not playing tennis. So here the answer just will be just like this. So here, so it will be here, they are not playing tennis. Again, they are not playing tennis. So what happened? I just put not after are. When I see any word of these words or any helping verbs of these helping verbs, I will use only not when I want to change it into negative. Number 2, Rashid is playing tennis. Rashid is playing tennis. I see is. Here I see is. And number 1, I see are. So when I see is or are, I will put only here not. So it will be Rashid is not what? Is not playing tennis. So here I will only put not. So here I only put not, and here I only put not. I cannot put don't or doesn't or didn't. I just not put not. Not after are and not after is. Let's see number 3. Nada was playing tennis. The same sentence but with different auxiliary verb. So here I see was. I see was. When I see was, how can I make the sentence into negative, or how can I change the sentence into negative? I just use not. So I will put not after was. So I will write here, Nada was not playing tennis. Again, Nada was not playing tennis. So here the answer will be Nada was not playing tennis. So if you see again are or is or was, I will put only not to change the sentence into negative. Number 4, he can play tennis. I see two verbs here, can and play. Actually, can is a helping verb or is an auxiliary verb. So it helps the main verb. So I see here two verbs, 1 and 2, can and play. So I see can here. So when I see can, what should I put in negative form? I should put not. So here I will say he cannot play tennis. He cannot play tennis. So the answer will be he cannot play tennis. So number 4, when I see can, it is a helping verb of all these helping verbs, so I will use only not. I cannot say he can't play tennis. No, I cannot use doesn't. I cannot use didn't, but I will use only not after the auxiliary verb or helping verb. Number 5, they would play tennis. Two verbs, would and play. Would and play. So would is what here? So let's see. I see would. When I see would, I will put not when I want to change it into negative. So here they would play tennis. They would not play tennis. It will be they would not play tennis. So How can I change it into negative? I just put not after would. So here when I see was or are or is or can or would, I will put only not. Only not. Only not. Can I say don't or doesn't or didn't? No. So when you see am or is or are or was or were or shall or should or can or could or may or might or will or would or must. So all these auxiliary verbs, you will just use not when you want to change them into negative. Into negative. So here again, if you see the verb with S, only one verb with S, you will use doesn't and followed by V1. What is V1? V1 is the verb without S, without ED, and without ING. And if you see ED or past form, just like went, for example, or bought or saw or whatever, so you will use didn't plus V1. And if you don't see S or ED and you see only one verb, play or go or visit or travel, so you will use don't and is followed by V1. But if you see two verbs, one of them is a word of these words or is a helping verb of these helping verbs, just like am or is or are or was or were or shall or should or can or could or may or might, will, would, and must, you will use only not. You will not use doesn't or don't or didn't. You will use only not. So if you see again any of these helping verbs, you will use not. So you have two ways of changing your sentences into negative. Number one, if you see S or ED or you don't see ED or S, you will use doesn't or don't or didn't plus V1. Or you will use not. When can you use not only? When you see any of these helping verbs. I hope that it's clear how to change your sentences into negative. Study your lessons very well.